Hi, friends. I'm Miranda. And just recently, a terrible story happened to me and my boyfriend. I'll tell you more about it now. I'm a senior in high school, and I have a boyfriend, Jack. And until lately, we've been doing just fine. Until this girl from our school, Kirby, got into my relationship with Jack. She showed him an old video of me walking in the park with his best friend, Tony. But the thing is, back then, Jack and I hadn't even met yet. And nothing had ever happened between me and Tony. But Jack didn't want to even listen to my explanations. Today, in the break, I went up to Jack and told him directly that we needed to talk. But as soon as he saw me, he turned away and put on his headphones, like he didn't see me. He just walked off in another direction without even looking back. That's when my best friend, Mia, came to my rescue. We agreed that she would try to talk to Jack herself. Maybe he would listen to her. At school, during the break, she came up to him, and I hid behind the corner so Jack wouldn't notice me. Jack reluctantly stopped. "What do you want? Stop following me!" "Wait, Jack, you have to listen to me. You know, Miranda and I have been friends for years, and I know all her secrets. She shares absolutely everything with me, as I do with her." Jack grinned. "Oh, really? Everything?" "Don't you believe me? I not only know on what day and where you first kissed, but what perfume you were using that night. I also know what cuddly toys Miranda played with as a child, and all their names." "I get it. So what?" "Jack, if she was having an affair with Tony, I would have found out for sure. Miranda wouldn't have been able to hide it. Do you understand? But she never had a thing with him. They're just friends, nothing more." "Yes, I perfectly understand the fact that you're her best friend. And you will say whatever Miranda asks you to say." Mia shook her head negatively. And Jack suddenly looked over to where I was hiding and waved to me. "Miranda, hi. I see you. Don't send me any more of your friends. I don't trust them. Neither I trust you." Jack turned around and walked away. And how can I convince him that I have nothing to do with Tony at all? Mia asked thoughtfully. Isn't there a single person Jack trusts? Maybe his mom could talk to him. I don't even know whose words he might believe. I thoughtfully went over all his acquaintances in my mind, and suddenly a brilliant idea occurred to me. I had an idea. This is the man he would definitely believe, for sure. I leaned over to Mia's ears and began to tell her my idea. She smiled and began to nod. "Miranda, it's really genius." The next day, after class, I saw Kirby. She was standing outside the gym waiting for Jack. I immediately walked up to her and asked, "What are you doing here? Are you waiting for Jack?" "Huh. Why do you care? We're not together anymore." "You set me up. Where did you even get that video?" Kirby fixed her hair and gave a sarcastic grin. "You know, if you have connections, you can find any data you want from any security cameras in public places." "And why didn't you show Jack what happened next? That you and Tony just walked in the park, then said goodbye and went your separate ways? That's not interesting." "So what? There was no other dirt on me?" "Unfortunately, no. But as you can see, Jack fell for my bluff. I win." The door to the sports hall opened, and Jack stood behind it. It became clear that he had heard everything. "What win, Kirby? Miranda and I are doing fine. Aren't we, baby?" I nodded in agreement and hugged Jack. Kirby stomped her foot in fury and walked away from us. Jack lowered his gaze guiltily. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I was so mad I couldn't think. But Thomas asked me to stick around after the training and listen to what Kirby had to say. I'm sorry, Miranda, for not believing you. And things worked out between me and Jack. But I doubt it now. He believed the lie about me so easily. So he doesn't trust me. So maybe I shouldn't be with him. What do you think, girls? Would you forgive Jack? Write to me. It's important for me to know what you think.
Hey, I'm Ava, and here's my story. Not a long time ago, I got a younger sister, Cora. I dreamed of a sister for a long time, since I am the only child in my family. But when my sister got adopted, my happiness did not last long. After Cora was adopted into the family, strange and sometimes terrible things began to happen. And I'm sure my little sister was involved. But let's talk about everything in order. When I got a little older, my parents started dreaming about another child. But my mother could not get pregnant for a long time. And when everything worked out, the child was stillborn. The doctors told my mother that she's no longer able to have children. Mom was depressed for a long time. It was difficult for her to recover from such a tragedy. Because of this, her relationship with my dad became worse. My parents tried to pretend that everything was fine. They didn't want their marriage breakdown to affect me. But I suffered, seeing that my family was falling apart. After a while, my parents pulled themselves together and decided to start all over again. They decided not to live in the past and restore harmony to the family. I was already 15 years old. My parents decided to adopt a child. This is a very brave and proud thing to do. After all, if someone cannot have children and someone's parents were taken away, why not help each other to try and become happy again? My parents adopted Cora. She was 12 years old. At first, the parents planned to adopt a younger child into our family, but Cora stood out from the rest of the others. She was very smart, educated, and talented. She had a huge interest in learning and drawing. She treated all adults with respect and was different than kids her age. Cora seemed to be almost perfect. We immediately surrounded her with love and attention. At school, I accompanied her everywhere, took her to classes, and was hanging out with her during breaks. It was very difficult for her, as the children teased her because she was adopted. Many knew me and my family well, and when Cora appeared at school, of course it became clear to everyone that she was an adopted child. One boy from school especially made fun of her. Cora couldn't stand it, pushed him, and ran out of the school in tears. A couple of weeks later, this boy had an accident. He was riding his bicycle, hurrying home as it was pouring heavily with rain, and suddenly, when he had to slow down, he realized that something was wrong with the bike, and he couldn't stop his bike. At high speed, the boy flew off the bike and severely injured his leg. He had to spend almost a month in the hospital. His dad explained that the pedals were damaged, but no one understood this in detail. This case made me very worried. Could the pedals have gotten broken without any reason? I also noticed how Cora's mood improved dramatically and her eyes sparkled when she heard the story about his accident. But to take revenge on a boy for calling you an orphan? This is a deliberate harm to his health and even life. After all, it's not just putting a button on a chair or pouring water on it. But these were my only guesses, which I did not tell anyone. There were constantly things happening, strange incidents with Cora's classmates who bullied her. Children constantly got into various troubles, were injured or damaged. And in a suspicious way, Cora was always there. Soon, everything became clear. The school, which valued its reputation very much, conducted an investigation and found out that Cora harms those who she does not like. The information was passed on to my mother. She tried to have a serious conversation with Cora at home, warning her that if this happens again, she will be punished. And she needs to pay more attention to her studies as I do. Cora was silent in response, but looked at me in such a way that I realized that something is gonna happen bad. My mom told Dad everything, but he didn't believe her. He accused my mother of clinging to Cora instead of helping her settle in. They had a big fight. And in the morning, opening the closet, my mom found out that all her outfits were cut. Mom immediately ran to her room and woke Cora up. She calmly got out of bed and sat down in front of the mirror to brush her hair. Mother's threats seemed to amuse her. Cora interrupted her mother and sarcastically asked, "And what will you do? Will you beat me? Will you return me to the orphanage? Dad won't let you. He loves me. And if you threaten me, I'll say that you are beating me." Mom and I didn't know what to say to Cora and silently left the room. Since that day, the relationship between my parents began to deteriorate. Dad quarreled with Mom because of her tough attitude towards Cora. But he did not see everything that happened at home. He stayed up late at work, and when he got home, he just went to bed. Mom decided to find out more about Cora's past, but there was no information at the shelter. It turned out that she came to this shelter by accident. After, for unknown reasons, the orphanage in which she grew up burned down, and a lot of people got hurt. When Mom told Dad about this, sharing her suspicions with him, they arranged an interrogation for Cora, but she was silent, and Dad felt sorry for her. He decided to divorce my mother and move with Cora to live with my grandmother. From that moment, I hardly saw my father. And today, I found out that my grandmother died, poisoned by fumes. And they blamed everything on my father. After the divorce, he started drinking heavily. He stopped taking care of Cora, and everyone decided that he killed his mother so that her house would become his property. And Cora also confirmed that Dad was constantly arguing with Grandma, but I didn't believe it. First, my dad and Grandma always had a great relationship. And secondly, the house was already written to him a long time ago. Dad went to jail, and Cora was sent back to me and my mom until she becomes 18 years old. I'm very scared now. I'm afraid of Cora because I know that she's capable of anything. Who is she and what does she want from us? I have asked myself this question hundreds of times. On the internet, I found a lot of information about children from orphanages whose mentality is not all right. There are clinical cases described by psychiatrists. But who will believe me that Cora is so terrible? For everyone, she is an obedient, meek girl. But in fact, she has a terrible monster inside her. I'm very scared now. I fear for my life and my mother's life. And there are 3 long years until Cora finally turns 18. Will I still be alive when this day comes? What should I do? Maybe you can advise how to find a solution to this terrible situation. I look forward to your answers.